Hi, I'm Natalie Carey with Appian. Thank you, Kirsten. Ted and I are happy to be here today to talk about how we have helped agencies modernize government acquisition. As we all know, government procurement is complex, high stakes, and time sensitive. It's way too important to be left to inefficient emails, spreadsheets, and shared drives. So Appian has helped government agencies bring it all together. We have built a complete suite of configurable solutions to simplify, automate, and accelerate procurement, from requirements and solicitations to contract awards and management. Agencies are now managing the full procurement process in a complete, compliant, and consistent way for increased staff productivity and improved program outcomes. So these are the 4 pre-built, ready-to-go solutions that we've built for government, giving teams a single hub to create complete procurement requirement packages, which you will see today, evaluate vendor proposals and quotes, proactively manage contract award processes, and write contracts with the correct clauses and provisions. We have created specific solutions that manage all aspects of the acquisition process, including the people, process, documents, security, data, and integrations. Program office and customers are provided a guided experience which demystifies the procurement process. Transparency actually becomes reality. Through these solutions, agencies can quickly leverage artificial intelligence, robotic process automation inside of their acquisition processes to address cross-agency priority or CAP goals of shifting from low value to high value work. These are some of the customers that have modernized acquisition with Appian. So at GSA, there are 2 large-scale acquisition systems built on Appian, GSA Easy and GSA GREX. GSA Easy is an application that supports PBS purchasing of goods and services related to buildings and construction. It's a large, complex system that has been in production for over 7 years and is continually enhanced with new features. It contains modules for procurement requests, solicitation writing, contract administration, including mods and receiving reports, and contract closeout. The GSA Real Estate Exchange solution, GREX, modernizes federal lease procurement through smart leasing. It was developed and deployed in less than 18 months, on time and on budget. Smart leasing is predicated on increasing efficiency and consistency while utilizing enterprise data for better business decisions. GREX leverages Appian's agility for continuous process improvement, mobility, social collaboration, and data integration. The GREX solution optimizes and accelerates the agency's performance across close to 10,000 assets and an inventory of over 370 million square feet of workspace that's used by more than 1 million federal employees. DISA consolidated 12 procurement systems into one and now provides end-to-end automated procurement services to the DoD. This system sits in Appian's IL5 managed cloud service, Appian Government Cloud. DISA has been a customer of Appian for a long time, many years, especially for acquisition. They have been tasked with buying telecommunication services for all of DoD. So it's an extraordinarily complex and unique acquisition process. And DISA determined that there was not a COTS acquisition product that could meet their needs. So they turned to Appian to help them automate the end-to-end process of buying telecom services. So their legacy process included users manually interfacing with 12 separate systems. And we just brought all those applications into a single interface, either by replacing the system or by integrating with that system and alleviating the need for the swivel chair effect. To this day, DISA still has an old COBOL application running in the background, and Appian just integrates with it. The users never even have to see it or deal with that green screen. To date, DISA has processed over $5 billion and over 170,000 contract actions with this system. They have been in production with Appian for over 10 years. And the Air Force actually, through an MOU, which our customers do quite often actually to share baselines, they took the DISA ideas baseline, which got them 80% of the way where they were trying to go. And then they customized or configured the other 20% through the low code and automation platform that Appian is for a contract writing system that they wanted to build. And they did it in 9 months. And they avoided over $80 million in cost compared to other COTS alternatives. And they support over 3,000 concurrent users across 30 locations. The last use case I will mention is HHS PSC. They use Appian quite a bit, but as it relates to acquisition, PSC is automated contract closeout, giving the agency the ability to deobligate funds faster so they can be used elsewhere. Not only is that important from a business perspective, but it's also the law to do this in a timely manner. So bringing it back to our suite of acquisition solutions, today's demo is going to focus on Appian Requirements Management Solution, RM. RM provides complete visibility into the acquisition requirements management process. It allows contracting and program teams to collaborate when defining, reviewing, and finalizing procurement requirements and acquisition strategies. The application simplifies federal acquisition processes and reduces the procurement action lead time, HALT. And the RM solution guides program staff through the requirements process for an acquisition package that needs fewer revisions and is immediately actionable by the contracting team. Government agencies quickly configure the RM application to address their specific needs rather than relying on inefficient emails, shared drives, and spreadsheets. RM improves the value and timeliness of government purchases that require high-quality requirement packages. A single view of all acquisition data increases staff productivity, improves program outcomes, and reduces costs by following federal acquisition best practices. So today, you're going to see wizard-driven input requirement, program office and contract office dashboards, workbench, centralized requirement record, document management, Office 365 integration for online editing and collaboration, a template library with auto-population of acquisition templates, configurable checklist functionality, full audit history, document review process, document review templates per document type, completion reports, workload reports, correspondence management, auto filing of documents, data collection, compliant with PRDS, edit due dates and completion reports, and requirement review process. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ted for the demo. Ted.
Thanks, Natalie. I'm Ted Malley, Solutions Consultant for Appian. It's my pleasure to meet all of you and be showing you the requirements management solution today for the government acquisition modernization suite that Natalie was just talking about. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is my screen visible? Are you seeing the application?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as we go through the demonstration, I'm going to hit on a couple of highlights that I like to point out as I go through the whole application. As you know, we're taking each step. I'll just be sure to point out that we're doing things such as the increased visibility and collaboration of requirements management. We're sort of in a centralized data silo here. So like we're not necessarily in all these different systems doing the swivel chair thing. We're in the same system. So even if we're a different user logged in, which you're going to see throughout the demo, that will be different personas, and we'll start as the requirement customer and will end as the actual contracting officer who's approving the requirements and moving ahead for procurement. You'll see that it's actually the same system. So it's all the same data in the same place. So we're able to work on it from different angles. And that includes that increases the ability to collaborate and get things done more quickly. Procurement action lead time, like Natalie mentioned, it's much shorter due to things such as wizards and the ability to automatically be assigned tasks and complete those tasks. And then there's time to value, the ability to create templates and manage the way that people are doing work throughout the process to be able to, reduce bottlenecks, not have any snags in the process, and be able to just move quickly. And again, reduce that time to value that you're getting by using the application. Jumping into the application here, what you see on your screen is the actual homepage for the persona. Sarah Daniels, we're the requirement customer right now, and what we can see is a personalized dashboard for her. That's what we do generally in Appian when we roll out these solutions, such as requirements management. We go through what is the business user, what is their job, what are they doing for the day, and we try to create these dashboards for each user as they log in that's personalized to them, so that they can see the things that are important to them, that they can easily do their job. So you'll see across the top, we've got KPIs that may be of more interest to a requirements customer, such as requirements trends for things that they're submitting as requirements, total estimated value of the requirements that they've submitted, point, and then an actual list of the requirements that they've created, as well as if you click over to the other tab on their homepage, you can actually see their checklist items, the things that are assigned to them, the work that they have to do that's due in the coming months. So coming back to requirements, and another thing that we really emphasize with Appian being a low-code solution, being able to create these pages on the fly and put all this data in one place, gather it from the different systems, as Natalie was talking about before, like the Cobalt system where nobody actually ever saw the green screen. We're pulling all the information into this one spot. So with Appian's low-code application development, what we like to do is when we get that data in one place, we tend to take action on it. We like to move that data through and get meaningful results. In this case, it's requirements. So what we allow you to do here in the requirements screen is add a requirement with a click of a button. So we're going to go ahead and add a requirement, and you'll see automatically right away is this guided wizard for creating a requirement, right? So rather than have to go through and mentally check off, okay, what do I need to create a requirement, put it into the system, I have this wizard that's just guiding me through it. And again, that saves time. It's completely configurable with low code. We're able to just create these wizards and modify the steps and publish them and allow the user to see them, as we make these changes. So as Sarah Daniels, I'm coming in here to create a requirement, and you can already see with the data in the centralized area, we're able to reuse things. So if you look on the requester details step of the wizard, you can already see that there are a lot of things that are pre-populated based on who I am as a user and the available data in the system that's been entered at some point before. So we've already got my point of contact automatically filled out. We've got contact details as well as POC details. All of these are things that are in the system or have been entered at a previous point for another requirement, perhaps. And so the system then just reuses the data, reduces the amount of time that I have to spend not only inputting data into the system to create these requirements, but also reducing any human error that there might be, say, if I were to type in the POC details every time and made a typo in the address. So now we can just click through this wizard. And as an example, I'm going to do requirement for printer support. So we're going to do an IT services requirement to support office printers. We're going to say it's a new requirement. And again, I'd like to point out as I'm going through this wizard, you'll see that there are these various fields that we've set up using Appian's low code, and we can create these different forms for each wizard that we guide the user through, and we can actually put different types of fields in here. We can use drop downs to, again, make it easier on the user to just make a selection, not have to do free text or anything, make it faster for them. In addition to that, you can see that in the various fields, we actually have tooltips, so you can hover over the fields and get a brief help statement, so to speak, to know what maybe you want to put into each field. You'll also notice that these asterisks, they denote a required field. So all of these things are configurable. Every time you drop a field into a form on Appian, you have these options to simply click, yeah, I want this to be required. Yes, I want a health message or a help message to show up, and here's what I want it to be, and you just type it in. So I'm going to go through here, set up all the data. I did mention the required fields, so I'll show you if I try to advance further in the form. Again, we're helping the user out. We're enabling them to, put all the data in the first time the right way, and not allowing them to skip steps, so that we can just get the data in there and get through the process. So, office IT. Now I keep coming through this wizard, and another thing I'll point out is we get to the third step, it's key dates. Now, if you remember back with the requirement details, the category of requirement that I picked was IT services. And again, this wizard is smart for the user, it guides the user. So getting to key dates, we see that we just have a period of performance beginning and end because we selected IT services. And so the system knows that if it's a services requirement, we would probably want dates. If we had picked any other category, we might have a different denotation for period of performance. It might not be a date range. It might be a delivery deadline. So here we're just going to pick a period of performance sometime in the future. I'll pick maybe May 30th of this year, and we'll jump to May of next year, end on the 29th. We'll go through, and then again, we're seeing that we've got these fields that are kind of guiding us through the process. So now we're on to funding, and you can see their example values in the fields just to give the user an idea of where they are in the process. What kind of data should I be entering here? So we're gonna say, just put in some sample values here. Another thing that I'd like to point out as I'm putting these values in is you'll see that automatically we're formatting the data. So you can just put the numbers in. You don't have to worry about formatting the data or what it's going to look like, on a report or on somebody else's screen when they're looking at prices. Automatically just go through and, we can see that it's currency field, so we format it in US dollars. When you come through here, again, data reuse. So I'm just going to say the location type for the requirement address is the acceptance location. We'll just pick out US Navy. Point of contact is going to be myself. I'm in the system. Something that we could do is create a new contact here. And if we do that, then even users that aren't in the system, or just people that aren't in the system that we want to list as a point of contact for future use, we can always do that. Again, we have this data in this centralized place, and we're able to work with whatever's been put in past. So we like to give the user the ability to add data and keep track of data and be able to add new data, even if it's not there, to begin with, so that then we can save time in the future. We'll just say the point of contact type is the acceptor. Get through the sixth step here, and now the sixth step, additional information, is actually, again, if I'm pointing out low code and I'm pointing out how we were able to build these applications and solutions with Appian, The additional information tab is actually a new feature that we just put together within the last month. Customers were asking if they could add ad hoc type information to the requirements of the system. And so we just added another step in the wizard and created another form where we allow you to put in whatever other type of additional information you might want into. So at this point, we're allowing you to put the place of performance. We allow you to put in if there's anything hazardous being delivered with the requirement. Does it involve personally identifiable information? Those are the options that you have here, but again, we're able to just build on them and configure the system and put any fields in this, just like we would, build any other form in the system, as you've seen other steps in this wizard. I'm not going to select any of this additional information. I'm just going to save it. And now, after I create this requirement, what I'm going to be able to do is kind of automate the process for getting this requirement more fleshed out into the system, be able to review it. So once the requirement saves, what I'll be able to do is actually set up a checklist. And when you see this checklist, what I'm going to point out about it is that as I select the type of requirement that this is, we actually have different templates. So I'm going to say it's a new services requirement. And as I select that, the checklist actually automatically populates based on a template that we put into the system. So again, going back to that efficiency, that reducing the procurement action lead time, we're able to go in here and just select the type that the requirement is, and then the system already knows what the tasks are that would have to be accomplished to move this requirement through the process. So I don't actually have to do anything here other than select that it's a new services requirement. And I've already got the prescribed tasks and dates all set up here based on template. So I don't have to do anything further here. I could add an item to the task list if I wanted to. I'm just going to go ahead and say set up that checklist. And that'll put that checklist into the system, and it will allow people to be able to go in and start working their tasks on getting this requirement pushed through. So now I'm going to I put this requirement in initially, so now it's in my list of requirements that I've submitted. So I can go and click on my requirement and see all of the data that's been either input by me when creating the requirement, or even other data throughout the system that's available to any requirement dashboard that is related to, say, IT service requests. In addition to that, there are calculated things that you can see on this requirement dashboard, things such as task status completion, right? So this is being calculated as people go through. When they click on these different tasks and complete them, the task status will increase in percentage until the requirement's actually finished at this stage. And of course, like we're tracking the status of the requirement. All of these things in this one place, it's common across all the requirements. Like you're always going to see this dashboard for each requirement that you create. It's just a way for the user to, again, see all of their data in one place, be able to make actions and decisions faster. So as the requirements customer, as I've already created the requirement, I'm going to go through here, and because I'm logged in as the customer, I see all of the things that are assigned to me in this checklist. So I can actually begin working the checklist. So like what I'm going to do here is I can provide an IGCE document, and I can just go upload. I can select a file to upload. I think I'm going to upload a PDF here. Then that'll attach the document, and I'll be able to then reference that document throughout the requirements review process. And this will be, totally manageable, like document management abilities. I can go through and look at the contract documents that are actually in the requirement. I can see the PDF that I actually just attached here. It's actually just a shipping label that I have on my computer. As you can see, it's full document management. So we can upload a requirement related document, and we can see the preview of the document. You can download the document, you can open it up and edit it. And you can, no matter who you are logging in here, you can see this list of documents, and it automatically relates the documents to the requirement. So showed a little bit of that document management to attach pertinent information for requirements to the requirement itself. The other way that you can actually attach documents to these requirements is with integration to document management and creation solutions, right? So here I'm going to click a task on the requirements, which allows me to create a document from a template. So to complete this task, I click the task, I get to this, again, making it easier on the user, faster time to value here. We've got another wizard, right? So the first step, it's going to lead me through to create a capabilities document. So I can actually just click on, I want to generate and auto-populate the document from the capabilities template, which is in the system. And then what you'll see is that we've actually created a document that we're going to attach to the requirement. We can edit it through Office 365, and it will allow us to then, rather than upload the document, we can actually have these various templates which automatically create these documents, which we can then actually edit in Office 365. And you can see again, it's a template, so documents pretty much already filled out for me. I just have to go through here and actually put in the differences and the things that pertain to my specific requirement. And I can edit that, but then all I have to do is, because it's Office 365, it's already saved here automatically. I can click out of it, I'm done editing it, and I can just finalize the document, and then it will be available to me on the requirement. And I can pick out document location. I'll just say, let's see, technical data. And as I save that, it'll, once again, now that's also available to me as attached to the requirement. So we're going through and we're able to complete these tasks, and not only, are the tasks automated, showing to me, so I can just, keep whittling down my task list, do my job for the day on this requirement, but I'm also able to use this, these different features and functionality that are giving me power to do my job faster, such as, data reuse, templates, being able to attach documents to this requirement. And then again, I can see it all in one place. It's all, centralized to this requirement, and I can continue to work and build this data through the system and push it through this workflow of creating a requirement so I can get a procurement. So as we come through here, I mentioned, calculated values. You can see the task status. We're at 25% completed now because we just completed 2 tasks. We uploaded a document and we created one from a template. In addition to that, as I've talked about, we get this data in one place, and what do we want to do with it? We want to take action on it, move it through the process, get that requirement done faster. So you'll see up here, as part of these requirements, up in the top right, we've got these related actions for this requirement. And what related actions are is, just like when we clicked a button to create a new requirement, we can now do things with that requirement. One of the things that we're actually going to do up here, as you look at all these different items that are available, is we're going to submit it to contracting. And when I submit it to contracting, something I'll point out is we have these different personas and users in the system, but we also have different user groups. that's not only how we allow people to log in, see different information according to, what they need to see to do their job, but it's also the way that we handle security. So we have we have group-based access control. So it's not just about what data do I need to see, but it's really about what data can I see based on the group that I'm in, and what am I allowed to see. So when we assign different tasks to groups in Appian, we typically allow the user to do something such as assign to a group so that there are no bottlenecks in the process. You could do an individual assignee, but we would encourage the user to make sure that they're assigning this requirement review task to the entire contracting management group. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stick with contracting manager. I'm going to submit the requirement to contracting. And what that's going to allow us to do is actually log in as the next person in the process, and that's the contracting team lead. His name is Neil Taller. So we're going to sign out of Sarah Daniels. And again, in the same system now, right? I'm going to log in as a different user. I'm going to be able to do different things. So again, pointing out that ability to collaborate on this data in the same place. So I come down to my requirements management application of the suite. Now this is Neil Taylor's page as a contracting team lead. I can see again requirements that are assigned to me. This particular one from Sarah Daniels for printer support. It's right there at the top. I've also got my checklist items, things that I need to do for the day. Slightly different than Sarah Daniels. It's different tasks, and you can also see that I have different views on my homepage than she does. So I have, these charts that are telling me more about, say, open items and requirements that are in my queue, because I'm not the customer. Now I'm managing multiple requirements from different sources. So I get that, that greater amount of data as more of a manager type. So I'm going to come back to requirements and click into the actual requirement that Sarah Daniels submitted. As I click in here, you can see that I have the same data here, or the same dashboard, right? I'm seeing the requirement, all the data that's related to it. I can go through and I can look at the checklist that's associated to the requirements and see the outstanding tasks that are still to be due on this requirement for me. I can look at the history of what's been done from a task point of view on the requirement. You can see all the different things that are associated with the requirement, just like Sarah Daniels can. But what you'll notice is it's slightly different because I'm a different user. So now logging in as the team lead, I can actually look through this requirement and see all the things that Sarah did on it, but my checklist is different from me. So for me, all I have to do is review the requirement. Now I've clicked through here and we can say that I did review the requirement. I looked at all the details associated with the requirement. And I'm ready now to complete my task of reviewing the requirement. So as the team lead, I'm able to just click on that individual task. It's all that I had to do. I reviewed it, I approve it. I can submit that decision, and then that'll actually move me through to the next part of the process. So as I assign this, I'm going to assign it to my particular contracting officer for these types of requirements. I'm going to assign a contracting specialist, Melanie. As I assign this task, it's going to go through to the actual contracting officer, Tom Meese, and now I'll be able to actually log in as Tom Meese and get to the next step in this process. And again, moving through this automated process, seeing the different tasks based on who I am, I'm able to come in here and actually get this done a lot faster than I would have been able to in the past with various systems and say email tasking. So as I log in as Tom Meese, again, seeing a slightly different dashboard. I'll see different checklist items over here that are based on what I want to do, I have to do. And come through here, click back on the same requirement again. And you'll see now that I have a different list of checklist items. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually review and accept the requirement as the contracting officer. So I'll go through and view requirement, I'll accept it. And what that's going to allow me to do is, as the contracting officer, I now have different options for, what is the next thing to move this through the process. It's to set up a new checklist for getting this actually acquired and through to procurement, right? So again, I've got this ability to set up these checklists, and it's all managed by these different templates that allow me to set up these various tasks, and they're automatically populated for me based on this template, this type of requirement. And another thing that I'll point out here that we didn't have in the last template that we created a checklist with was we've got precedences. So, or precedents. So when you're able to assign precedents, it's just like any project management application where you can actually assign a task, but say that the task is only active or able to be done if a task or another task in the list has been done first. So that's what precedents are, and we're able to assign that for any different task here, and we could have a cascading list of tasks. But we can be smart about this, and when we built this template, we knew that only certain tasks needed to be done before other tasks, and then we allow any task without precedence will be assigned automatically, and people can get them done in parallel. So again, trying to push this requirement through the process and make sure that there are no bottlenecks and nothing is holding up any tasks that need to be done if there are required tasks before we get to those various points. So I'll go ahead and submit this. And as I submit the checklist, the next step in the process, again, going through this workflow as the contracting officer, approved and accepted the requirement, accept the list of actions that need to be done to achieve a procurement. I actually can select an acquisition path. So I'm going to select new award, commercial services, submit that. And what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to configure the system so that when this requirement gets pushed to the next application in the government acquisition modernization suite, which would be to do a source selection and then an award, is that acquisition path will then configure the next application. The next user will go in and they'll go to set up a checklist for, okay, how are we gonna select a source? Well, the acquisition path that was selected by the contracting officer is already going to tell us, what we need to do to procure this service. So again, we guide you through the workflow. We make it easy. We give the user only the options that are pertinent in that time, and we allow them to go through and make those selections, and it changes what's available to the next user to be able to do their job and continue to push it through. So as I've actually now selected the acquisition path, this requirement's going to go on to the next application in the suite, the next step in the process to procurement, which is actually going to be the end of that workflow for creating a requirement. Before we actually end the demonstration itself, another thing I just want to touch on is when I'm a manager such as Tom Meese, different KPIs than just, okay, what's related to this requirement, or, what do I need to know about my current requirements on my list that I'm taking care of. There are various other things that I have to keep track of as a contracting officer, and with all the different activities that I'm managing, as well as the different people on my various teams. So as I click over onto the report tab, you can see that I've got this various data related to, say, my workforce. So in Appian, again, we've got all of the different data that we've got from these different systems, from different processes that we've done, requirements that we've pushed through the workflow and now are saved in the system for historical data, documents. We've got, uh, lead times that are recorded as we're creating these requirements or pushing them through procurement. We've got workload for each user in the system. We added POCs at one point, or we were, shown the ability to do that. All of this is now tracked in the system and it's reportable. And with Appian, we create these dashboards just like the home page where we're able to configure it to look any way we want for a particular user. You can do the same thing with these dashboards for charts. So as long as the data is there, we can create all sorts of different types of charts. We've got, a chart over here, stacked histograms. We've got different line and point charts here where we can slice and dice our various data and see what's important to us, such as things here like cost, requirements, counts, workforce, how many officers and specialists do I have on my team, how many requirements am I dealing with right now, and those various things that may be important to me. Again, completely configurable. I could drag and drop any chart on here and connect it to any data so long as it's in the system. And what this is really showing here is we're going to wrap up and describe that. So we've gone through and created these requirements. We've pushed it through a workflow in an efficient manner. We've reduced bottlenecks. We've reduced procurement action lead time, and we've made it easier on the user by having all these things pre-configured. And then as we actually go through that process, it develops this data for us, and we're able to look back on our processes and we can see our different charts, and they're completely configurable. I can view any data that I want in the system in chart form as a manager, and then I can go back and I can continue to improve on this process based on what I'm seeing in trends and what my team's doing. And do I have people overworked? Do I have enough people on my staff? Are we dealing with too many requirements? What's going on in the system? And that allows me as a manager to see all of this, at a surface level and make those decisions. So we can go through those 3 points that I mentioned at the beginning of the demo, and we can go through and just continue to improve those points. And that's, as Natalie described at the beginning of the demonstration, that's what our customers have been able to do with Appian and this low-code experience. So with that, I'm going to open up to questions.
Thank you so much, Ted. I see we have Stephen on and Nabil as well. Do either of you guys have any questions or comments? All right, I guess you guys were very thorough in your presentation then.
Try to be.
Yeah, this was excellent. Thank you so much. And I had some people reach out saying that they wouldn't be able to make this time, but they definitely want to, watch afterwards. So I'm going to share this with them. And if there are any questions that come up, also from the folks that watch the recorded version, Ted, should they reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I mean, you could reach out to me or Natalie. I'm sure either of us can get you answers to your questions.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I will share that contact information then, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Just I'd be able to route it or Ted, depending on who's asking. And then just definitely wanted to offer up that if anyone wants to speak to our acquisition customers, they are part of a government user group that we hold monthly. And then we also have an acquisition government user group that we hold monthly. And if they want to speak directly to a government person about how they've modernized systems, their acquisition systems with Appian, then we're happy to foster that connection and broker that conversation. So we find that they want to talk to each other directly, and have seen some really great success, especially as I mentioned in the presentation around sharing baselines and through MOU. So please offer that up and route them to either Ted or myself.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll circulate the recording and yeah, really appreciate it. And thank you, Nabil and Stephen, for being here as well.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Thanks. Everyone have a great rest of your Friday.
You too.
Thank you. You as
Thanks,
well.
you too.